The following is a presentation of 912 Sports. Welcome to On Air with 912 Sports, your number one source for high school sports. With Sean Smoke, Kevin Price, and Robbie Ross. On Air with 912 Sports is brought to you by Coastal Pines Technical College. Go Coastal. Prime South Bank. Find your prime. Robbie Robertson Ford, because Fords are cheaper in the swamp. Gibson Animal Clinic, practical solutions with limited fees. Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, the region's best orthopedic care. And Kim Smoke, licensed realtor with Crossway Realty.
High schoolers, did you know that you can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College? Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
Welcome, sports fans, and thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Sean Smoke, publisher of 912 Sports, joined as always by head writer and podcast host Kevin Price. Kevin, how you doing today, buddy?
Good, Sean. Good to be in the spring season, right in the middle of everything, and playoff picture starting to not really shape up because we got a long way to go in region play in a lot of these sports, but soccer is a pretty good ways down the line, and baseball's getting into region play, so we'll start seeing how things stack up in these regions here pretty soon.
Exactly. It's hard to believe. I mean, we're halfway through the month of March, fixing to get into April, and then May will roll around with graduation. So not a lot left of the spring season. But wanted to make everybody aware we've got our new issue, Kevin, of 912 Sports is on the street right now. It is our baseball edition, and Luke Boykin out of Wayne County is on our cover. But there's a couple of a lot of great kids in the magazine. You did two great stories, one on Luke, and then one on our scholar athlete, Carter Barnes from the Ware County Gators. Real proud of the last issue. And if you can pick it up, we've got several different distribution points. But if you want to, go online at 912sports.net and get home delivery. But, Kevin, you had a chance to interview both of those kids. Talk a little bit about what your thoughts were on both of them.
Well, I'll tell you what, we talked about those two kids a little bit before in another baseball segment we did, just mentioning that the issue would be coming out. And I'm glad to see that it's out, and I'm going to get my hands on the copy here in the next day or two. But you mentioned two of those guys, Boykin and Carter Barnes. Obviously they're going to meet each other, or their teams will here pretty soon when that Class 5A region that we cover gets into region play. And those two guys are really good, on the baseball diamond, Sean. But the thing I'm more impressed with is just how well spoken they are. Yes or no, sir, kids. They kind of get it, Sean. They have created their own brand, but in a humble way. And these two guys, certainly have lived up to the hype going into this year. And, they just kind of get it. They know what they need to do in terms of playing the game, getting themselves exposure for the next level. And, I'm sure when coaches sit down and talk to these kids, they're very impressed. They would probably like to have 20 of guys exactly just like these two kids in their program. And that's probably one of the biggest compliments that I can give them. I mean, they both just seem like really good kids from good families. They do good in the classroom as well. They're role models for their peers. And obviously they can play baseball. And Boykin's a real good hitter, real good player all the way around, though. He's a good defensive player as well in the outfield for Wayne County, has a lot of speed. And I'm sure that, the University of Georgia, where he's going, saw all that, obviously, and offered him a scholarship. And then Carter Barnes is probably going to play somewhere as well. And, he's another kid that gets it. He's done a good job of getting himself ramped up and ready to play. And, he's going to be an asset to somebody, in the future. I know he may go to UGA just as a student, but I do think he wants to play baseball. And I think, if he continues to have a good year this year for Ware County, he'll have that opportunity. And again, he's kind of a coach's dream. I mean, who wouldn't want to have a kid like this on their squad? And I think when you read the story about both him and Luke, it will come in more into focus about what I'm talking about, just how good of kids these kids are, not just how good of baseball players they are.
Right. And Coach Conley and I had a conversation earlier this week about that same thing. Carter's definitely talented enough to play at the next level, but he's also a high academic kid. 101 point GP, numerical GPA. I think he's in the top, 7 or 8 of his class. I mean, this kid is, he's got a future in whatever he wants to do. So it'll be interesting to see, if he does go play baseball at a smaller school, or if he does go to pursue his, his college degree at the University of Georgia. So that'll be interesting. Of course, Luke already committed to going to the University of Georgia, but Luke may have a decision at the end of the year. With some scouts showing up and all. I mean, he may be in a situation where he has to make a decision. Do I want to go play minor league ball, or do I want to go, have the college life? So it'll be interesting to see what both of those kids do. But like I said, wherever either one of those kids land, whoever gets them are going to be, that much better off for having, kids like that, on their team for sure. So, but this past Saturday, Kevin, we had 2 big celebrations here in South Georgia. One was the Ernest Jones Parade here in Waycross. Ernest, the linebacker for the Los Angeles Rams, who won the Super Bowl. Ernest, just a rookie, played at Ware County, went on to South Carolina in his rookie season. He's a Super Bowl champ after having a great game. And then over in Douglas, they had Tyreek Hill Day. The city of Douglas and the Chamber of Commerce and all got together, brought Cheetah back home, and that's his nickname, and had a little celebration there for him that day. I know there was a lot of the Coffee County players that were there, a lot of Chiefs fans that were there. So 2 great big celebrations here in South Georgia for 2 of our NFL's own. So.
Well, I would assume the only reason there's Chief fans in Douglas, Georgia, is because of Tyreek Hill, right?
Exactly.
I doubt they had Chief jerseys running around Douglas before he got there. But hey, that's understandable.
You wouldn't think that'd be a stronghold for the Chiefs.
Right. I mean, it's great when the hometown folks adopt certain teams. I mean, it happens here in Glenn County as well, with a lot of people liking the Cardinals because of Adam Wainwright. And I'm sure, that's certainly the same thing. And there's other examples of that. But, good to see the local guys get honored in their own communities. They've had, Super Bowl parades and whatnot, I'm sure, for the LA Rams. But it probably meant a little something more, a little something extra special for Ernest to be, the marquee attraction in a parade in his hometown. And just, probably made him feel good to see that the local folks still care about him, even though he plays football all the way across the country. In LA. And the same thing with Tyreek Hill. I mean, he's meant a lot to that community, brought up a lot of attention to the coffee community. And, I think he's given back to that community as well through the years. And it was good to see them kind of give back to him and honor him as well. So a win-win for everybody. And again, Sean, I think these guys are good role models for, the younger kids. I mean, these are kids that, maybe some of the kids in coffee are younger, in Ware, either way, have maybe posters of these guys on their wall, so to speak, and they look up to these guys. And there's nothing better than a hometown hero for these young kids to look up to and see, an example of somebody that made it out of their hometown, made it big, and doesn't hurt to dream big. Not everybody can play football in the NFL or baseball in the major leagues, but if you're trending in the right direction and doing right things, good things can happen for you, whether, like we mentioned, in sports or out.
Exactly. And hey, hats off to all the fans that went out to either one of these events, Kevin, because last Saturday it was cold in South Georgia and the wind was blowing like it was a daggum monsoon coming through, especially in Waycross. I don't know what it was like in Douglas, but I mean, it was brutal. So if you went outside and sat on a parade route to cheer on Ernest or got out to go see Tyreek Hill, hats off to you, because you were definitely dedicated on Saturday. So
that's right. It was blowing all over South Georgia, I believe.
Exactly. But Kevin, let's move on into Golden Isles baseball. You got two teams that you represent over there with Golden Isles baseball. Let's get a little recap of what the Brunswick High Pirates have been up to, and also the Glen Academy Red Terrors.
Well, it was a tale of 2 weeks last week for both of these teams. Opening region play in Region 2-6A, and Brunswick unfortunately got swept by Richmond Hill, and we knew coming into the season that Richmond Hill would have the arms on the pitching mound to possibly contend in this region and maybe win it, and that was on full display against the Pirates. They won all 3 games. Of course, it was a topsy-turvy week with the weather. They went ahead and played game 1 Monday, of course, as scheduled, but they bumped their middle game up to Tuesday instead of Wednesday, and they also went ahead and played game 3 on Wednesday. So they played right there in a row, bam, 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 and unfortunately, Brunswick lost all 3 of those games. But Glen Academy, on the other hand, same kind of deal. They were dealing with the weather against South Effingham. They played game 1 on Monday, went ahead and played game 2 on Tuesday, and then moved up their 3rd game from Friday to Thursday, which ended up being a real good decision because Thursday ended up being a nice evening over here. Then Friday got a little messy again, and of course Saturday was messy too. But Glen ended up taking 2 out of 3 in that series, Sean, after splitting both games, the first 2 games with South Effingham. Glen won game 3 at Adam Wainwright Field last Thursday night, 5-4. They were down 4-0, battled back to tied up at 4-4 with a 4 spot in the 5th inning, and then they went into extra innings before Glen Academy won the game. I guess actually it was 6-5 because South Effingham took a lead in the top of the night at 5-4. Glen came back and scored 2 runs in the bottom of the night to win that 6-5. But Gus Gandy was our Synovus player of the game in that game. We did the broadcast. He had a 3-run double in that 4-run 5th that cleared the bases for Glen Academy to tie up the ball game 4-4. Then in the 9th, it was a sacrifice fly to center field off of his bat that ended up scoring the winning run from 3rd for Glen to win that game 6-5 and take 2 out of 3. But that was a matchup, Sean, as you know, of 2 teams that went into the Elite 8 last year. Both made the state quarterfinals. South Effingham won the region, and Glen finished 2nd. And Glen, I think, took 2 out of 3 from South Effingham last year. Maybe took all 3. I can't remember. But anyway, so they got off to a good start winning that series last week as well. Then, of course, both Glen and Brunswick already into week 2 of region play. Brunswick playing Statesboro this week. They will play 2 out of 3 in that series in Statesboro. The first game was Monday night. Brunswick won that one in 5 innings by a 13-0 score. So they run-ruled Statesboro. And then Glen Academy got off to a good start in their series against Richmond Hill and won that game 4-1. Richmond Hill also hosting 2 out of 3 this week. The weather, could be a factor in the middle of the week. But anyway, I think they'll get this series in with a lot less difficulty than, they had to do last week. And we'll be with the Pirates, of course, and Glen Academy. We'll have Glen's game Friday night on the road at Richmond Hill. We went there last year for Brunswick's game when they beat Richmond Hill in game 3. So we'll be there for that series finale this year between Glen and Richmond Hill. And, again, Glen's starting off with 2 of the better teams in the state. We'll get to the rankings in a minute, but also next week they're staring right down the barrel at the Brunswick High School Pirates. So the Big City Championship Series coming up next week between Glen and Brunswick.
Yeah, that's always a great series. Last year, Kevin, I believe 2 of those games were 1-run games between Glen and Brunswick. So regardless of where the records are, regardless of where the rankings are, you're going to get your best shot every time those 2 teams take the field. So, but Kevin, let's take a quick commercial break here from some of our sponsors, and we'll be right back here with some more On Air with 912 Sports.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robinson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Call on us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive, Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
Welcome back, sports fans, and thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Sean Smoke, joined by Kevin Price. And Kevin, the GHSA were meeting earlier this week to kind of consider whether they wanted to condense from 8 classifications down to 6. The problem I see with this is the reason the GHSA is having this meeting is because the Georgia legislative body has decided that they wanted to get involved in high school politics. Basically, what it all boils down to, Kevin, is the legislator has said, listen, GHSA, if you're going to make people travel, I believe the distance is 75 miles or further, then you're going to have to foot the bill for fuel costs for these school systems. And that, to me, is completely asinine because, listen, if that happens, the GHSA won't last. I mean, there's not enough money in the coffers for them to be able to do that. But, I don't like the fact that politics is entering into high school athletics. And I guess that's really my biggest take on that. Listen, I'm not saying that we don't need to figure out a different way to do, to get schools closer together, playing one another. But at the same time, I think this is a slippery slope that we're about to delve down if this comes to fruition.
Yeah, well, Sean, we've had other issues where state lawmakers have gotten involved with the GHSA before high school athletics. And, usually it's because their butt hurts. I mean,
right,
their team is getting spanked in their hometown by somebody that they don't like, and they want to try to get their team out of that situation or various things like that. And, it's really one or two guys in a certain area saying, hey, I'll support you on this if you support me on this. And that's how politics work. They gang up and they attack the GHSA with some kind of bill or something like that. And then this other guy is going to get on the bandwagon with another guy that supports some certain other bill, and they work it together to try to put pressure on the GHSA. And, I'm like you. I don't like it when politics sticks its nose into the Georgia High School Association or high school athletics. I don't really know that any recent issues have really been warranted for them to do that. It's just somebody with too much time on their hands when they really need to be worrying about maybe trying to get Joe Biden to do something with the gas prices or worrying about other more I hate to say high school athletics are important. They are, but bigger issues that affect our state than whether their team's finishing first and second in a region and they want to win a region championship, that kind of stuff. But anyway, and Sean, let's be real. I think the Georgia High School Association has more money than they want to let on.
Oh, yeah.
We all know that they collect $125 paychecks from us on a regular basis to do playoff games. We're sitting in the same seat, the same spot that we have all year. Haven't hurt the gate at all. People are coming or not, and people are listening to us or not. So it's no different for the playoffs. So let me not get too far off hand, but GHSA has money. Now, this could break the bank pretty quick. I mean, when you're talking about all these schools 75 miles or further, because we're talking about regular season and postseason. And I know for a fact that, pretty early in the playoffs, some of our baseball teams or soccer teams may have to hit that highway for a back and forth trip to Metro Atlanta, which is considered South Georgia by GHSA standards, regions 1 through 4, South Georgia 5 through 8 are North Georgia, and a South Georgia region is 6A is right there around that Metro Atlanta airport. Yeah. Well, that's not South Georgia to me. It's above Macon, and the Gnats aren't as bad up there as they are down here typically. So anyway, that really, I mean, and you're talking about all classifications. You're talking about 7 classes, 8 state championships. When you have 1A divided into private and public, so that could be a lot of mileage. A lot of schools getting reimbursement checks, and of course, gas mileage right now. I guess if you still go by the standard, it would cost you the same per mile. But we all know it's going to take a lot more money to gas up these yellow cheese boxes that are going to be going up and down the highways. And so I get it. And I really understand that this would break the bank for the GHSA. And, Dr. Hines, who I feel like has done a pretty good job overall as the executive director of the Georgia High School Association, apparently was, a proponent of 6 classes even before we reclassified, here most recently. And I guess he just got outvoted, was outnumbered on that. And of course, he's been talking to the lawmakers this past week. He had alluded to that already in a story that ran sometime last week during the state basketball championship games. And so here we are, quickly moving to where this may be action may be taken on this, or at the very least, the GHSA is going to sit down and talk about it, where the lawmakers really realize they're not just sitting back. They're going to maybe make some moves in the right direction to get this done. But I'm with you. I mean, maybe that issue is out there and does need to be taken care of. And their philosophy is fewer classes. We could get more teams in one class. More teams in a geographical area would be in the same class, and then therefore wouldn't have to, travel as far. And I just using our region as an example. In Region 2-6A next year, we're going to have some Augusta schools in our region. So, football's not so bad, I guess. It'll be on a Friday night. The teams down here will make a couple of trips up there to play them, and those guys will make a couple of trips to play the teams here. But, not the worst trip in the world to Augusta, but I'd rather make it to go to the Masters than a Tuesday night high school basketball game. I can tell you that. And,
exactly. But you're still looking at 100+ miles.
Oh, right. So those trips there would have to be paid for according to this bill, and it's going to add up, and it's going to add up in a hurry. So, I guess the GHSA has already researched this because they seem to be pretty sure of the fact that going to fewer classes, putting more teams in a region will keep things from getting spread out geographically in certain areas of the state pretty quick. So I'm sure they looked at all that before they reclassified the last time. So a lot of the research, a lot of the meat and potatoes are in place. Of course, we're not talking about immediately, Sean. We're talking about for the next reclassification cycle, which I guess would be starting in the 2024-25 school year. So we're still talking a couple of years down the road. Teams could, their enrollment could change. They could go up a class, down a class. But all of this, is going to be, where do they draw the numbers? Some teams are still going to be unhappy about playing in certain classifications, certain regions. So that kind of stuff is not going away. But the bottom line is I hate it when the lawmakers try to put pressure on the GHSA and force their hand to make decisions like this. Somebody needs to watch out after the GHSA, but I think a lot of us do that anyway, and they hear it from their coaches and their administrators within their own membership all the time. But I guess any organization that can't get the basketball nets or goals to 10 feet for state championship games might need to be looked over. But by and large, though, I think Dr. Hines has cut out a lot of that crap and has done a good job. So I'm going to respect him on this and hope that he leads the GHSA down the right path.
Right. And we'll just have to see where it goes. I mean, like I said, the only thing is, Kevin, you're going to take a bunch of championships away from a bunch of kids. If you do go back from 8 to 6, I mean, that's just a mathematical law, which I don't like. But at the same time, everybody's having to make adjustments in these times. Everybody's having to, watch the bottom line. And if it makes it more economical for everybody, it might be something that we just have to, just a bitter pill that we all have to swallow. So we'll see what the GHSA decides to do and which direction they decide to go in. And if it goes back to 6, then it's like you said, all you're going to do is shift the people that are upset today to different people that are going to be upset, and then they're going to go to their legislator and they're going to, want them to introduce, such and such a bill. So all you're going to do really is shift the shift the pain a little bit. So we'll see what all shakes out. But again, I'm never a fan of politics entering into high school athletics, but it looks like it's a situation where it can't be averted at this point in time. So, but
well, Sean, and another thing, when you change the classes like that, if we go down to 6, I mean, obviously we have 7 classes right now, but single A divided into public and private. So
right.
we have 8 state championships at stake in any one sport. But when you go cutting out 2 of those classifications, 32 teams, in by and large make the playoffs in all these sports. So that's going to be 64 teams, possibly, you're losing that much capability of those schools being in the playoffs, but you're also losing revenue because
right.
When these schools have to go by mandated playoff prices and things of that nature for tickets, those are set by the GHSA. So that GHSA's got all that money rolling in for those classifications when they get to the postseason. And of course, they do have to shell out a little money too, to maybe rent a facility for a little longer to get all those state championship games in and whatnot. So, there's back and forth on all of that. But the bottom line is when you go to paying mileage for folks 75 miles or longer, that's going to be a lot of money for one school, that much more money for 3 or 4 in the region. And this is happening all over the state, particularly down here in rural Georgia, in South Georgia. These teams, do get kind of spread out pretty quick for regular season and for playoffs. So that can add up in a hurry, particularly with all the sports that the GHSA sponsors. So even though they're going to be losing revenue, they're going to be saving money in the long run if that bill were to go into effect. That's for sure.
Exactly. So we'll keep an eye on that and keep everybody posted. But Kevin, we're going to give everybody a Gator baseball recap. Not really a whole lot to talk about because the Ware County Gators didn't play baseball for 10 days. What happened is they had a game scheduled for last Friday. That game got rained out, so they were off for a week. So they wound up not playing until Monday night of this week. Monday night they went over to Brantley County, became away winners 11-2 in a game there at Caney Bay. Played really good. One of the things I was concerned with and actually asked Coach on air about was, what does that do? What does that do to your team's mentality when they don't play a game for 10 days? That's a long time in the middle of the season to take a break. But really, the Gators really didn't have much rust. They did pitch almost like a bullpen game where each pitcher threw 2 innings. I think the last pitcher only threw 1, but everybody really threw the ball well. They swung the bats well. And, came away winners. But you worry about that when you get that kind of delay in the middle of the season. And Gators are just a week away. As a matter of fact, next Monday, they start region play for Region 5A. So it'll be interesting to see. They got a couple more games. Got a game tonight. Got a game Friday night where they play the Herons. The Brantley County Herons back at home at Ware County on Friday night. First pitch is going to be at 6 o'clock. So to try to get tuned up to get into that region play, they start their region play against veterans. A team from up around the Warner Robins area. So it'll be interesting to see once they get into region play. But it didn't seem like the 10-day layoff affected them that bad. Maybe give them a chance to, rest up and get their legs back under them. But again, the Gators are, I think, 6-4 on the season now. So they'll, roll into, region play, hopefully with a couple more wins and, get ready to try to battle for that 5A region championship. So
yeah, and that's going to be a good region there. We're going to get into the baseball rankings here in a moment, but Coffee rolling right along. Wayne County, I don't think has hit their stride yet. They knew they were going to be in work in progress, and then of course you got those Warner Robins schools in there. And talking about trips, I guess those Ware County Gator trips are the Warner Robins team trips. Those would be getting paid for.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
And you think they might have to pay for yours or even Bob Morgan's over there in Jessup to make those trips as well. Let's
take a check
deal on that. How about that?
I'll take a check on that.
Well, I'm going off here as well, but Sean, so that's going to be an exciting region there with some good baseball being played. If you look at the rankings, and we'll see how that comes out. But we knew that would be a good region to follow for sure this year.
Exactly. And let's just dive right into the rankings, Kevin. Right now, we don't have anybody ranked in 7A. Of course, the only, team we have in 7A right now is Camden. They're unranked. But if you drop down to 6A, a team that'll be going to 7A next season, the Richmond Hill Wildcats. And these rankings, listen, there's all kind of rankings out there, but these rankings are coming from the Georgia Dugout Club. Richmond Hill is ranked 4th. Glen Academy is ranked 5. I can't remember if the AJC has it, South Effingham, and that is are ranked or not. But again, South Effingham is a very, very good club. But Glenn was able to beat Richmond Hill on Monday night, so that those rankings may change. But both of those clubs are very solid.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of good baseball regions, this 6A region that we cover is a good region. Glenn and South Effingham both went to the Elite Eight last year. South Effingham was ranked in most polls until losing 2 out of 3 last week to Glen Academy. But depending on what poll you look at, they are still ranked. I think to answer your question, the AJC does have South Effingham still in their poll, of course. So you got the AJC poll, you've got this Georgia Dugout Club poll. This new coaches organization they have, I think, does their polls. I'm not sure if they have a committee that does it or what, or for each classification. And then, of course, you have the Max Preps rankings, which I think involve computer formulas and different things like that. So anyway, yeah, with Richmond Hill moving into the rankings, Glenn being there, South Effingham being there, and Statesboro was even getting some votes in this most latest poll. Brunswick was getting votes earlier. So a really good baseball region here in Region 2-6A.
Exactly. And dropping down to 5A, you got the aforementioned Coffee County's ranked 6th in this Georgia Dugout poll. Ware County is ranked 9th, and I think Wayne is ranked 10 in the AJC poll. So got a lot of quality baseball teams in this region 5A that Ware and Coffee and Wayne are a part of. So all those guys playing great baseball right now. We don't have any 4A schools ranked, but dropping down into 3A, Kevin, another good baseball region. You got Pierce, according to the Georgia Dugout Club, at 2, Appleton at 8, Long at 9. And, oh, by the way, the AJC's got Pierce ranked number 1.
Yeah, and Pierce, we talked about them in the preseason. I think Brunswick went over there and played those guys, and they have a couple of D1 prospects. And, Sean, you're very familiar with those as well. But Pierce has a long, good baseball tradition, and looks like they're going to have a team to contend with this year, certainly being ranked second in the Georgia Dugout Club and first by the AJC. And I think North Hall in the Georgia Dugout Club poll might be the team that's ranked ahead of them. And, of course, that's Trent Majero's old school where he won a state championship. And I believe they beat Pierce to do it. Is that right?
I believe so, yeah. Back at when I think Pierce, Wayne, and Jeff Davis all played at Grayson Stadium, all for the state title that one year. And of course, Coach Majero was able to beat Pierce that year. And then Wayne got beat by Loganville, and Jeff Davis was the only one of the 3 out of our area that actually won state that year. But they actually did win. Like I said, really good baseball. You mentioned the D1 prospects from Pierce. Davis Green is in our latest edition, the baseball issue of 912 Sports. So you can pick it up and read a little bit about Davis Green. He's a Georgia Tech commit. So he will be playing his ball up at Atlanta at Georgia Tech. But dropping down to 2A, we just mentioned Jeff Davis at 6, Vidalia at 10, and I think Swainsboro is also ranked in the AJC poll there for 2A. And then in single A, you've got Charlton County ranked number 3 in the state. Always a quality baseball program over there with Coach Thad Marchman, and then Clinch ranked 10 in the AJC poll. So we've got 2 teams ranked there in single A public as well. So it just really, Kevin, I think that's 13 teams ranked in the top 10 out of the 27 teams that we cover. So a lot of great baseball being played right now here in the 912.
Yeah, and I always struggle with remembering the number, and I wrote the story, but I remember last year in our issue that will be coming out again, like in May, we were obviously getting into the playoffs, and we did a little filler story because we had extra room on the number of teams that were still alive in baseball at that point. Of course, we didn't know how it was going to finish based on when the magazine was coming out, but we said, certainly all these teams have a chance to go beyond that point. But I think it was about this same number right here.
Right.
It was still alive. What was it, going into the second round or even
I think
the
it was
quarterfinal?
going into the Elite Eight, I think is what it was.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I think we very well, based on these rankings, They're obviously subjective, but you got several polls out there, and most of these same teams keep showing up in a poll. Somebody might be sixth in one, ninth in another, but bottom line is they're a top 10 team. And I think based on what we just talked about, we're going to have a lot of teams playing deep into the baseball season this year with a chance to maybe go to that Elite Eight or beyond.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
Robbie Ross for the Ross Report on 912 Sports. Looking at Frederica Academy's Jack Roberts in GISA golf. He's a freshman, but he is already making waves across the nation as he is one of the top-ranked juniors in 2025 class. He's already competed in multiple junior tournaments where he has been ultra successful, and not only in the high school ranks, but in the junior circuit as well. He's already won the Southern Junior Championship and a future Masters as a 14-year-old a couple years ago. He's looking to just continue that as he most recently competed and finished second in the Dustin Johnson World Junior Championship held at TPC Myrtle Beach last weekend. One of only two freshmen in the field made up the top 60 players in the nation, and Roberts battled back from a 5-stroke deficit in the final round to take senior commit of the University of Virginia, Ben Jones, to a playoff, and ultimately fell in that playoff. But great success for Jack Roberts in the Dustin Johnson World Junior Championship held at TPC Myrtle Beach last weekend. Coming up for freshmen at Frederica Academy, he is set to compete in the most prestigious event in junior golf, the Junior Invitational at Sage Valley Golf Club in Aiken, South Carolina, just outside Aiken, South Carolina, where he will compete for the gold jacket, not to be confused with the green jacket at Augusta National. The ultimate test will come on March 17th to the 19th, just in a couple of days here this weekend, against the best amateur golfers in the world at Sage Valley. Frederica Academy held their annual invitational last week at Osprey Cove, and Roberts just ho-hummed his way to a round of 70 where Frederica Academy won that tournament. As for the Frederica Academy schedule, he will miss the alumni match that they have at Brunswick Country Club, since he will be at Sage Valley competing for that gold jacket in the World Junior Golf Invitational. But they also continue on in the middle of April at the Palmetto Invitational at Palmetto Golf Club, which is also in Aiken, South Carolina. Of course, Palmetto is the golf club where Kevin Kisner, PGA pro and part-time St. Simons Island resident, grew up playing golf and considers his home course. And then the Frederica Academy Knights will finish it off this year at the Geisa State Tournament, which is on April 25th up at Reynolds Plantation at Lake Oconee. So keep your eye on Jack Roberts, just a freshman and really making waves on the junior golf circuit and in GISA for Frederica Academy. I'm Robbie Ross, and this has been the Ross Report on 912 Sports.
High schoolers, did you know that you can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College? Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
Hey, we appreciate everybody watching, but that's going to wrap up this week's show. Until next time, may all your check marks go in the win column. Good night, everybody.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robinson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Calling us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive, Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
This has been a presentation of 912 Sports.